Good morning. Good morning to all of you. This morning, we're going to be exploring the work of Irish poet John O'Donoghue and introducing some elements of Celtic spirituality. I began reading John O'Donoghue this past spring, and I was just captivated by him. If you don't know him, O'Donoghue was born in Ireland in 1956. He first became a priest, but he left the priesthood in 2000, and he tragically died in his sleep in 2008 at the age of 52 while he was on vacation. According to Wikipedia, John O'Donoghue is responsible for popularizing Celtic spirituality. I don't know if that's true or not. Celtic spirituality, as I'll be discussing in greater depth in the homily, is a very broad term encompassing both pagan and Christian practices that were birthed in Ireland before the 6th century. And part of its teachings are echoed in our own Unitarian Universalist tradition. We'll be hearing a number of poems from John O'Donoghue this morning, as well as some lovely Celtic Irish music. And I'm hoping you will find both comfort in the words and the music, as well as be inspired to find out more. I'm leading worship this morning with Linda Weaver, our DRE, Cynthia Young, our music director, and our accompanist, Jesse Leon. Beth DiPasquale is running the technical side of worship this morning with support from member Dre Betancourt, who's serving as our usher in the chat, and you will be seeing Maggie Mack in the breakout rooms. I have 4 announcements this morning. First, I'm very pleased to let you know that next week, Barry Lynn, the Reverend Barry Lynn, will be joining me for a conversation in the Zoom pulpit about politics and faith. Barry, as I think most of you know, was the president of Americans United for Separation of Church and State for more than 25 years. And he and his wife, Joanna, herself a world-renowned gerontologist, have been joining us regularly for worship since we began online services. So I'm very excited about this pre-election service, and I hope you'll invite your friends. I also want to remind those of you who are visitors or new to us, next Saturday we'll be holding our newcomer orientation. So if you've been visiting regularly and thinking about joining UUCR officially, next Saturday afternoon we'll be hosting a 2-hour orientation to help you find out more about Unitarian Universalism, UUCR, and what it means to be a member. We'll be holding a new member ceremony on November 22nd. So we hope that those of you who have become regulars since the pandemic will consider joining us next Saturday. I also want to point out, if you haven't seen it in your e-blast, please read your e-blast, that next Saturday night, we're going to be holding a really terrific fundraiser called the Autumn Soiree, featuring Cynthia and Jesse and many of our congregation's beautiful and wonderful performers. There are lots of fun things planned, and we hope you will join us. And speaking of fundraising, my final announcement is I'm encouraging, please, please, please donate to the UUCR auction. You will have received a letter in the mail. It's also been in the e-newsletter. We'll put it in the e-newsletter again. We really, really need you to participate. It's our biggest fundraiser of the year. I've already donated a bunch of items. You're going to get to be able to bid on my year's reading, kayaking with me, and a painting I've made in the pandemic. So I hope you will look through your homes and think about what you too can offer. Okay, there ends the announcements. So my friends, let us center ourselves for worship. Take a deep breath with me. Take another one. I'm serious. Take a deep breath. Cynthia will be introducing the prelude.
Good morning. My name is Cynthia Young. I am the music director at the Unitarian Universalist Church in Reston. For today's service on Celtic spirituality, we have a guest musician joining us virtually, all the way from Germany, Celtic harpist Nadia Birkenstock. A virtuoso Celtic harpist with an international performing career, Ms. Birkenstock composes new music and arranges traditional Irish songs for the Celtic harp. When I reached out to her via email to ask if we could share her music with you, this was her reply. What a beautiful idea. I feel honored that you want to play my music. These are hard times for us all around the globe. And reading through the UUCR website, wow, what a wonderful community of warm-hearted, courageous people you are. Please consider my music a donation. I was so touched by her kind and generous reply. For her video recordings, Ms. Birkenstock plays in gorgeous natural settings, connecting her music to nature. The piece we have chosen has a French title, À la source, meaning at the source. In French, la source refers to water, a well, spring, or fountain, elements of Celtic spirituality carrying mystical, even magical possibilities. Please enjoy our beautiful prelude, À la source, composed and performed by Nadia Birkenstock.
Thank you. That was lovely. The opening words this morning are a blessing of angels from John O'Donohue. May the angels in their beauty bless you. May they turn towards you streams of blessings. May the angel of awakening stir your heart to come alive to the eternal within you, to all the invitations that quietly surround you. May the angel of healing turn your wounds into sources of refreshment. May the angel of the imagination enable you to stand on true thresholds, at ease with your ambivalence and drawn in new directions. May the angel of compassion open your eyes to the unseen suffering around you. May the angel of wilderness disturb the places where your life is domesticated and safe. Take you to the territories of true otherness, where all that is awkward in you can fall into its own rhythm. May the angel of Eros introduce you to the beauty of your senses, to celebrate your inheritance as a temple of the Holy Spirit. May the angel of justice disturb you to take the side of the poor and the wrong. May the angel of encouragement confirm in you worth and self-respect, that you may live with the dignity that rides in your soul. May the angel of death arrive only when your life is complete and you have brought every given gift to the threshold where its infinity can shine. May all the angels be your sheltering and joyful guardians.
Our opening hymn is number 38 in your gray hymnal, Morning Has Broken. While the words that we sing were written by English author Eleanor Fargen in 1931, the melody is an old Gaelic tune. The words will be in your chat box. Please sing along with me and Jessie.
Thank you, Jessie and Cynthia. Good morning. I'm Linda Weaver, the Director of Religious Education at UUCR. As Reverend Debra lights the UU Reston chalice, I invite you to light a candle in your own home. Our chalice lighting words this morning are by John O'Donohue, who wrote the poem Reverend Debra read earlier. May we live this day compassionate of heart, clear in word, gracious in awareness, courageous in thought, generous in love.
In our church, we sing a covenant together every Sunday. Love is the spirit of this church. We will sing along with our very own UUCR virtual choir. The words will be in your chat box. If you are visiting us this morning for the first time, please accept this song as our blessing to you.
Now is the time for all ages, so gather around your screens. Our story this morning is about how Bridget got lands for the poor. It's by Erica, Helm Mead in her book, The Moon in the Well, and it's based on the miracles of Saint Bridget of Ireland, who shares a name with a Celtic goddess, and like the goddess Bridget, is known for her fiery courage. Long ago in Ireland, a few wealthy landholders owned vast expanses of rich, fertile soil, while the poor were forced to eke out a living on the rocky hillsides. One year, the crops were poor, and the peasants could only eke by a single carrot or onion for the supper. Bridget went to one of the richest landholders and said, "The crops are grim this year. The peasants need your help." And the landholder said, "Ah, Bridget, I'll think on it, but in truth, if they would just work harder, the people could fend for themselves." Well, a few weeks passed and things only grew worse, at which point Bridget went back to the landholder and said, "There is no food left, and the poor have gone up into the hills to eat grass and shamrocks. How will you help them?" Well, the landholder said, "Ah, it can't be that bad. And I am such a busy person. Why do you bother with me? So go talk with them about how they can help themselves. Be gone." Now, things only got worse as the next week came by, and Bridget went back to the landholder, and this time said in a rage, "You haven't done a thing to help, and now the children are starving. I demand that you give them land." The landholder just said, "Ah, it can't be that bad. You don't look like you're starving, Bridget, and you don't want for warm clothing either. 'Tis a fine cloak that you're wearing. But I won't have people call me a stingy person, so this is what we will do. You go out into the plains and choose any spot you like. There, put down your cloak, and that land I will donate to the poor." "Tax-free," said Bridget. "All right, tax-free, but don't ask for anything else." So Bridget and her three sisters went out onto the plain, and they each held a corner of Bridget's cloak. She said, "Hold it taut," and they did. Then she said, "Now, each step back," and they did. One to the north, one to the south, one to the west, and one to the east. And as they did, the cloak expanded. And she cried, "Continue walking." And as they did, the cloak expanded and expanded until it covered the entire plain. That afternoon, the landholder looked out as he did each afternoon, and he saw that the entire plain was covered with what he first thought was snow. But when he noticed the rocks were still bare, he realized what had happened, and he fell to his knees saying, "The cloak," because he had seen the divine at work. As he saw Bridget stride down the walkway, he leaned out his window and cried, "Bridget, mercy! I will give all of the land to the peasants and throw in 100 bags of seed so that they may prosper by it." "Well, that is fine for today," said Bridget, "or that is fine for tomorrow, but what about today?" "For today," said the landholder. "Oh, a great feast for today, a feast for everyone." "And what kind of feast?" asked Bridget. "A feast with stews and roasts and compotes and mashes and stuffings and jellies and cakes." "And bags to take home?" asked Bridget. "And bags to take home," said the landlord. "Very well then," said Bridget. "I will spread the word." And the landholder said, "Aye, Bridget, I'm sure you will. And I don't mind to say that if you spread the word as effectively as you spread your cloak, not a soul will miss this feast." And that is the story of how Bridget got lands for the poor. I wonder where you might find yourself in this story, and I wonder what this story might say to us today.
Thank you, Linda. I think we need a little Bridget right now, right? This is the time in our service where we invite you to share your joys and concerns for yourself, your family, our community, and our world. We hope in your sharing you will know and experience that you are not alone. Perhaps you might want to light a candle in your home to mark what is in your heart as we watch the candles in our bowl in the sanctuary. The chat box is open. Please make sure you're writing to all attendees. As you look at the slide of our lit candles, please enter into a time of silence and watch the chat box and let each other's joys and concerns wash over you. Thank you. And now is the time for you to enter into your own meditation, your own prayer, your own time of blessing and prayers and seeking the divine as Jessie plays for us. Please join me in the spirit of meditation and prayer. Spirit of life and love, fill our hearts this morning with these beautiful music and these beautiful words and the beautiful sun and the beautiful autumn day that surrounds us. Let us reach out with compassion to those among us who are sad or suffering, those remembering someone they loved who has passed, especially a parent, those who are worried about their neighbors and friends with recent cancer diagnoses, those who worry about a dear daughter as she goes through her transitions, those whose hearts are heavy, worrying about animals or jobs or relationships. And yet, let us remember to celebrate this day, to celebrate the marriage of Jeff and Laura, two of our members who were joyfully wed yesterday, to celebrate the birthdays, the time away. Let us celebrate those who are working to turn out the vote, all those who dropped postcards in the mail yesterday, and who will continue to make calls and texts, and all those standing, please bless all those are standing in those long lines so that we can restore democracy to its highlights. Be with us in this troubled time as our hearts break, as the COVID virus moves indoors and has affected nearly 8 million people around the world. More than 1 million have died. Be with us as we enter into this autumn time, as we adjust, as we put on our masks and wash our hands and stay 6 feet from our loved ones. Be with us as we seek community, even though we cannot be together. Let us feel the strength of this community each and every day, holding us, loving us, caring for us. And let us rest into the peace of the mystery that is greater than we are. And so may it be. Amen.
This summer, during COVID lockdown, our guest musician, Nadia Birkenstock, participated in a challenge whereby harpists randomly drew the name of a tune by Irish composer Turlough O'Curlin and were challenged to perform the tune that they randomly drew. Miss Birkenstock drew the tune George Reynolds. Before we listen, I should explain that Turlough O'Curlin lived in the 17th century and is a composer of great importance to the Irish people. Considered the national musical treasure of Ireland, he created many of the most beloved Irish jigs and reels. O'Curlin was blind and spent his life traveling throughout Ireland, staying with wealthy people who became his patrons. He would then compose a piece inspired by his patron and name it in their honor. His very first patron was none other than George Reynolds, Esquire, of County Leitrim, Ireland. So please enjoy the piece, George Reynolds, composed by Turlough O'Curlin and performed by Nadia Birkenstock on the Celtic harp.
Let us begin with another John Donahue poem. It's called For Celebration. Now is the time to free the heart. Let all intentions and worries stop. Free the joy inside the self. Awaken to the wonder of your life. Open your eyes and see the friends whose hearts recognize your face as kin. Those whose kindness, watchful and near, encourage you to live everything. See the gifts the years have given, things your effort could never earn, the health to enjoy who you want to be, and the mind to minor mystery. O'Donoghue invites us with these words into the wonder of our own lives and into the larger mystery. His Celtic informed words echo our own Unitarian Universalist tradition sources that begin with our direct experience of that transcending mystery and wonder, affirmed in all cultures, which move us to a renewal of the spirit and an openness to the forces that create and uphold life. That direct experience is the heart of what many know as Celtic spirituality. So, what is Celtic spirituality? For some, it's a form of Christianity that began in the 5th and 6th centuries when the Roman Church entered Ireland and Scotland. Patrick and Columba melded the stories of Jesus and the mandates of Rome with some of the local pagan traditions. Ian Bradley, the author of Following the Celtic Way, writes, Patrick, parenthetically, that's Saint Patrick, was a genius at cross-cultural communication. He impressed the men and women of Ayr with the essentials of Christian faith, but at the same time, he affirmed Irish culture. He presented Christ not as a replacement for early faiths, but as a deeper fulfillment of them. For others today, Celtic spirituality represents exploring the best of some of the early pagan practices and traditions of Ireland, Scotland, and Wales. I found a blog called Crazy Whole Life by Reverend Josephine, an Episcopal priest. She writes, the faith of our ancestors hold an appeal. They call out to our deep human need for mystery, for something bigger than ourselves, for the world to not be quite so cut and dried. And those instincts are good and right because the world is bigger than a list of rules. The world we inhabit is mysterious, awe-inspiring, and interconnected in ways we cannot begin to imagine. In another post she wrote, we could probably claim that just about anything with a scrollwork knot on it is Celtic, and many people have made a lot of money doing just that. But our ancestors left us clues to their ancient practices and beliefs. And there's no reason that modern humans interested in the Celtic way of life, especially their emphasis on the goodness of creation and God's revelation in nature, cannot reclaim those clues and build on that foundation. You have probably seen, and maybe you even own, a Celtic knot. These are some of those versions of different Celtic knots, including a cross with the knot. O'Donoghue wrote this about the Celtic knot. It is the endless intertwining ribbons that make up the Celtic knot, suggest a world and a faith which is in a state of perpetual motion, a definite pattern and the constant state of being circumscribed, but within clearly defined bounds. But the overwhelming sense is one of movement and progress, with the lines traveling ever onwards, even if they are constantly doubling back on themselves, ducking under or crossing over each other, and ultimately always coming back where they are started. Sounds a bit like our lives, doesn't it? One of the places I most resonated to as I learned about Celtic spirituality was its emphasis on daily blessings. As John Philip Newell, author of Listening for the Heartbeat of God, a Celtic spirituality, writes, the Christianity that emerged in the Celtic world moves us to be aware of the sacred at the heart of every moment and to celebrate it. O'Donoghue writes, in the Celtic tradition, there is a great tradition of blessing. Because it was primarily an oral tradition, these blessings were learned by heart and handed on from one generation to the next. There are blessings for every possible occasion. I love this from a website I found from a woman named Mary Megan, who's the founder of an organization that leads Celtic pilgrimage in Ireland each year. She wrote or said, what would it be like to start the day with blessings, not your to-do list? Blessings go between one person and another, perhaps between one soul and another. Now, in many Christian traditions, only the minister and the priest can offer official blessings. But Celts, and indeed Unitarian Universalists, believe everyone has the power to bless. You don't need to be ordained to offer a blessing. You only need to reach into your own inner self to offer a word of blessing to another. Think for a second. What do you say when someone sneezes? Right, bless you. See, you do bless other people, even if you don't think you do. Anyone can offer a blessings. During seminary and my ordination, I was not gifted with magic words or magic hands. You have the hands and the words inside you as well. All of us can bless the world and each other. During my 18 years of ministry, I've been asked to bless many things: homes, cars, wedding rings, tests, exams, a meal, even a park bench. When I go to someone's home for dinner, when I used to, I'm often asked to say grace, the blessing before the meal. And although, as you all know better than anyone, I love praying aloud and asking the Spirit to move through me, in that situation, I often turn it back to the host, asking them to bless the meal they have prepared. Let me ask you, how might your daily lives be different if we took the time to bless the day when we woke up, instead of first looking at our phones or our to-do lists? What if you blessed your meals before you ate them? What if, like our Muslim neighbors or Celtic monks, we prayed 5 times a day, trying to reach out to the divine? If we were to make the space to invoke the mystery on a regular basis, might we find a greater connection to what is bigger than we are? Now, there are many other components of Celtic spirituality that appeal to me, but I don't have time to go into them in today's shortened Zoom homily. So I want to recommend to you that you think about getting O'Donoghue's beautiful book, Anam Cara. In it, he explores nature, the soul, and what he calls soul friends. He defines soul friends as those to whom you can reveal the hidden intricacies of your life, an act of recognition and belonging. With your soul friend, you are joined in an ancient and eternal way. I hope you have soul friends in your life. I know I'm very grateful for mine. But the fact is that even soul friends can't meet all of your longings. In one of the most intriguing passages in Anam Cara, O'Donoghue teaches that each of us are part of everything, but also separate from everything. In a quote that could stand all by itself as a sermon, he writes, "In each person, there is a point of absolute non-connection with everything else and with everyone." This is fascinating and frightening. It means that we cannot seek outside ourselves for the things we need from within. The blessings for which we hunger are not to be found in other places or other people. These gifts can only be given to you by yourself. They are at home in the hearth of your soul. See, my friends, I think it's in that homecoming to our own souls that perhaps we find the heart of our own spiritual paths, no matter how you define it. I'm going to end today with another of O'Donoghue's beautiful blessing. I chose it for all of us in this difficult and anxious time. It's called For Equilibrium. Like the joy of the sea coming home to shore, may the relief of laughter rinse through your soul. As the wind loves to call things to dance, may your gravity be lightened by grace. Like the dignity of moonlight restoring the earth, may your thoughts incline with reverence and respect. As water takes whatever shape it is in, so free may you be about who you become. As silence smiles on the other side of what's said, may your sense of irony bring perspective. As time remains free of all that it frames, may your mind stay clear of all it names. May your prayer of listening deep enough to hear in the depths the laughter of God. So may it be. Amen.
Our closing hymn today is not in our hymnals. It is a contemporary hymn titled So We Go, a Celtic harvest song written by Patrick DeSimio. As Reverend Debra mentioned in her sermon, the celebrations of the seasons is important in Celtic spirituality. Rather than viewing autumn as a time of decay, the Celts view autumn as a time of harvest, fulfillment, and abundance. Since this melody is probably unfamiliar to you, Jesse will play the whole chorus all the way through once before we begin to sing, so you can get to know the tune. I think you will catch on quickly. The words will be in your chat box. So as soon as you're ready, please do sing along with us.
Come as the summer turns toward autumn, come as the long night stars climb higher, come as time's unceasing turning wheels us round the harvest fire. So we go from daylight toward the night, so we go. Turning on through life, come as the sun turns bearded barley from soft green to a brazen bronze. Come as the sunflowers rest their heads in the peace of sleep while the sun spins on. So we go from daylight toward the night. So we go, turning on through life. Come as mistakes turn into wisdom, come as the rash become the sage, come as the blooms of youth grow into the feast and seed of our autumn days. So we go from daylight toward the night, so we go, turning on through life. So we go from daylight toward the night. So we go, turning on through life, turning on through life.
That was so lovely. Thank you. Thank you for all of the beautiful music this morning. The closing words are a traditional Irish blessing. I'm guessing you have heard them before. May the road rise up to meet you. May the wind be always at your back. May the sun shine warm upon your face. The rains fall soft upon your fields. And until we meet again, may God hold you in the palm of her hand.
When Irish eyes are smiling, sure it's like a morning spring. In the lilt of Irish laughter, you can hear the angels sing. When Irish hearts are happy, all the world seems bright and gay. And when Irish eyes are smiling, sure they steal your heart away. There's a tear in your eye, and I'm wondering why, for it never should be there at all. With such power in your smile, sure a stone you'll beguile, so there's never a teardrop should fall. When your sweet lilting laughter's like some fairy song, and your eyes twinkle bright as can be, you should laugh all the while, and all other times smile, and now smile a smile for me. When Irish eyes are smiling, sure it's like a morning's rain. In the lilt of Irish laughter, you can hear the angels sing. When Irish eyes are happy, all the world seems bright and gay. And when Irish eyes are smiling, sure they steal your heart away. When Irish eyes are smiling, sure it's like a morning spring. In the lilt of Irish laughter, you can hear the angels sing. When Irish hearts are happy, all the world seems bright and gay. And when Irish eyes are smiling, sure they steal your hearts away.
Thank you. Someone put in the chat box who knew Jesse could sing like an Irishman. What Jesse told us this week was that Jesse is 1/16 Irish. So I think that's what we just saw. Thank you. And thank you to everyone for their beautiful contributions this morning. Once a year in October, the minister gets to pick the recipient of the special collection plate. As is our custom, all of the collection plate on one Sunday a month goes to a not-for-profit organization. So for this morning, I am asking you to generously support the Poor People's Campaign, a national campaign for moral revival. This organization is headed by the Reverend Dr. William Barber and the Reverend Dr. Liz Theo Harris. Right now, the Poor People's Campaign is focusing all of its attention on mobilizing, organizing, and educating people to help change the political calculus for the 140 million poor and low-income people in the United States leading up to the elections. For the past 4 years, the Poor People Campaign has worked tirelessly to hold up the crushing unmet needs of people who are poor in this country. There is no one I look to more for moral guidance as a faith leader than Dr. Reverend Barber. And I'm proud to be a member and to represent you all on his prophetic faith council. So when we put up this slide, please go to the link on the slide or in the chat box and be generous with your contributions to support the Poor People's Campaign. I hope we will raise at least $1,000 today to support their advocacy work. And I will start us when I go off with a $100 donation. So I ask you to be generous to support Dr. Barber. After this slide, I hope you will join each other in the breakout rooms. The link will follow in the chat box after we see the offering slide, and it was also sent to you on Friday in your email. I hope in the breakout rooms, you'll share your thoughts about the service and what from Celtic spirituality might speak to you in your life. So my friends, we've reached that time in the service where I share my final blessing of the morning. My friends, go in peace. May your real service begin.